Welcome to the Mixed Media Ventures podcast, your go-to for smart, actionable digital marketing strategies to grow, scale, and win in today's online economy. Join us now for our latest episode.
Have you ever poured your heart, your energy, maybe significant resources into something, only for it to just, sit there? Gathering dust, kind of forgotten its potential, untapped. Maybe it's that expensive online course you never quite finished, or the sophisticated piece of software you bought but barely use, or even, a detailed business plan that's just languishing in a digital folder somewhere. We all have those forgotten investments, right? But what if that forgotten thing wasn't merely forgotten? What if it was, in fact, a treasure trove, like a hidden gold mine, simply waiting for you to rediscover its immense value? Okay, let's unpack this a bit. Today, we're diving into exactly that concept, but specifically tailored for businesses. We're going to explore why reconnecting with contacts you already have might just be the smartest, most cost-effective move for sustainable growth. Our focus for this deep dive: database reactivation. And believe me, it's far more than just another buzzword you hear flying around. It's really a strategic approach that's, fundamentally transforming business outcomes by unlocking this immense, often overlooked value. And for you, our listener, consider this your essential shortcut. We're not just scratching the surface here. We're distilling profound, actionable insights into a crucial yet frequently overlooked aspect of business growth and marketing efficiency. You're going to gain those aha moments, the kind that spark new strategies, hopefully without feeling overwhelmed by just an avalanche of information. So let's dig in and uncover this hidden gold.
Yeah, it's really fascinating how universal that concept is, this idea of untapped potential. It extends way beyond just business, actually. That idea of dormant assets, of value that's already within your grasp, but simply lying fallow. It resonates on so many levels, doesn't it? But within a business context, and especially when we talk about a customer relationship management system, a CRM, that hidden gold is quite literally sitting right there, waiting for the right strategy to bring it back to life. It's an investment you've already made. It just hasn't been fully leveraged yet.
That's a really crucial distinction, because every business, really, regardless of its size or industry, has these contacts. Just think about it for your own situation. Former customers who, for whatever reason, simply stopped purchasing. Or maybe interested prospects who engaged initially. Perhaps they downloaded a white paper, attended one of your webinars, or even had a discovery call, but then never actually converted into a paying client. And then there are those once active clients who've since gone quiet. Their interactions just dwindling down to zero. They're all sitting there in the CRM, often unsegmented, maybe forgotten, and crucially untapped. They're not cold leads. They're more like unpolished gems whose brilliance just needs to be rekindled.
And it's absolutely critical to move beyond just a vague notion of inactive. You need a clear, really actionable definition of dormant for your specific database. See, a dormant contact isn't just someone you haven't spoken to in a while. It's an individual or maybe a company that has previously engaged with your business in some meaningful way, like a purchase, a sign-up, an active trial, but has then ceased taking meaningful action within a specific predefined time frame. Yeah. And that time frame, it's incredibly important. It will vary dramatically based on your industry, your product's life cycle, and your typical customer journey. You can't just pick a number out of thin air.
Right, it's context.
Exactly. Let's break this down with some concrete examples from the sources we look at. So in an e-commerce setting, maybe a customer who hasn't purchased in, say, 6 to 12 months, they might clearly be considered dormant. The typical purchase cycle for consumer goods is often shorter, right? So even a year of inactivity can signal disengagement. Now, for a content-driven business, like a media outlet or maybe a SaaS company with a free tier, it could be a subscriber who hasn't opened any of your emails or logged into their account in 90 days or more. That's a strong signal. If you're a software company, especially one with recurring subscriptions, well, a dormant contact might be a user who created an account, maybe even completed the onboarding, but hasn't logged in recently. That indicates they're probably not deriving value from the platform anymore. And for B2B sales teams, it's often those leads who initially expressed strong interest, maybe went through several demo calls, but then fell silent, never converted. Each of these scenarios represents a different phase of dormancy, and each needs a distinct approach.
That makes perfect sense. Yeah, each scenario implies a different kind of prior relationship, doesn't it? And probably a different underlying reason for the current lack of engagement. It's definitely not a one-size-fits-all problem.
Precisely. And understanding why that dormancy happened is the absolute critical first step before you even think about outreach. It's rarely a single simple reason. Sometimes customers find an alternative solution that maybe appears to be a better fit for their immediate needs. Or perhaps they had budget constraints that temporarily put a halt on their plans, something entirely unrelated to your offering. Often, it's as simple as them just did. Forgetting about your offering amidst the sheer noise of modern marketing. I mean, we live in a world of constant bombardment from countless brands, right? And it's remarkably easy for even a great solution to just slip from memory, maybe overshadowed by other priorities. Identifying these varied reasons, or at least forming well-informed hypotheses about them, that's what truly informs and optimizes your entire reactivation strategy. Without that insight, your efforts are, frankly, little more than guesswork.
And this leads us directly to why this group of contacts, these dormant leads, possess such inherent value. Because fundamentally, these are different from cold leads you're trying to convince from scratch. These contacts already know your brand. They've already shown some demonstrable level of interest in what you offer, whether it was through a purchase, a sign-up, or maybe a detailed inquiry. And crucially, they willingly provided their information to you at some point. The foundation for a relationship isn't just hypothetically there. It has already been established, built, and invested in. It just needs to be rekindled, right? That's a stark contrast to the uphill battle of starting from absolute zero with brand new leads, where you have to build awareness, trust, and interest completely from the ground up.
And if we connect this to the bigger picture, it means you've already invested significant resources in their initial acquisition. Think about that. That initial marketing spend, the brand awareness campaigns, maybe the time spent on sales calls, the trust-building efforts, all of that represents sunk cost. It's money already spent. Now, your goal is to leverage that existing investment and unlock the potential that's already within your reach, rather than constantly pouring more resources into completely new acquisition channels. It's really about maximizing the efficiency of your previous efforts.
Okay, so what does this all mean for the bottom line? Because let's be honest, businesses live and die by their efficiency and profitability. Is chasing these forgotten contacts really more efficient, more profitable than just going out and finding new ones?
Well, the numbers here don't just speak, they practically shout. Acquiring a new customer, according to pretty robust industry research, can cost anywhere from 5 to 7 times more than retaining an existing one. Just think about the entire funnel. The marketing spend to generate a lead, the sales cycle to qualify and close them, the sheer effort involved in just getting someone to know who you are, let alone trust you and eventually purchase. It adds up fast. Database reactivation, in this context, it occupies an incredibly sweet spot. It's not quite the same as retaining an active customer, sure, but it's certainly not pure acquisition either. It leverages that existing familiarity and interest, offering significantly better return on investment than strategies focused solely on bringing in completely new prospects. And what's often overlooked isn't just the raw cost difference, it's the strategic advantage this gives you. Imagine reallocating resources from some highly competitive, super expensive acquisition channel towards optimizing your existing first-party data. That's where companies find truly disproportionate returns and, sustainable growth.
5 to 7 times more? Wow. That's a truly staggering difference. It really puts the intrinsic value of these dormant contacts into a whole new perspective for me.
It absolutely does. And the statistics just keep reinforcing this compelling argument. Consider this. The success rate of selling to an existing customer is a remarkably high 60-70%. 60 to 70%. Now contrast that with selling to a new prospect, where the success rate just plummets to only 5-20%. That gap is just immense.
Wow, okay, that's an astronomical difference. Can you elaborate maybe on why that gap is so profoundly significant? What's behind that huge disparity?
It fundamentally comes down to trust, familiarity, and reduced sales friction. An existing customer, even a dormant one, has a history with your brand. They've experienced your product or service, maybe only briefly, or at the very least they've engaged with their content and provided their contact information. There's a pre-existing level of trust, or at least recognition, right? And a reduction of that initial skepticism, which you simply don't have with a brand new prospect. You're not starting from scratch, trying to prove your credibility, your value proposition, or your reliability. You're leveraging a foundation that's already there. And in many cases, they've already opted in, shown some intent, and overcome that initial psychological barrier of engaging with a new entity. That's huge.
And it gets even better when we talk about the profit impact, doesn't it? Because I've definitely seen statistics that suggest the financial gains are massive from even pretty small increases in retention.
It certainly does. It's almost counterintuitive until you really dig into the mechanics of it. Industry data shows that increasing customer retention by just 5%,
just 5%, can increase profits by 25% to a staggering 95%.
25 to 95%. That range is incredible. How does such a seemingly small increase in retention lead to such a massive profit jump? It almost sounds like magic.
It's not magic. It's the power of the compounding effect, and it's truly one of the most powerful forces in business. Think of it like compound interest on your savings account, maybe. A small increase in the interest rate doesn't just add a little more money each time. It makes your entire principal grow exponentially faster over time, right? Similarly, a loyal, reactivated customer doesn't just make one more purchase, they become a recurring revenue stream. When customers are retained and reactivated, they tend to purchase more frequently, spend more over their lifetime. They're more likely to explore and buy new products, maybe upgrade their subscriptions, and become less sensitive to price fluctuations because their trust and perceived value are higher. And beyond direct purchases, they also become these invaluable brand advocates, referring new customers through really powerful word-of-mouth marketing, which significantly reduces your future customer acquisition costs. So a small increase in retention rate doesn't just mean a few more immediate sales. It translates into this snowball effect of increased revenue, reduced operational and marketing costs, and enhanced brand equity over time.
It's exponential, truly. And it's a direct result of fostering those long-term relationships.
And it seems reactivated customers, perhaps surprisingly, come back even stronger, in a sense. More committed, maybe.
That's right. And this is a truly fascinating aspect of it. Reactivated customers often spend, get this, 25% more on their very first purchase back compared to their previous average order value. This isn't just about winning them back. It's about reigniting a more engaged and often more profitable relationship. It implies a renewed commitment, almost as if they've had time to reflect on what they missed, or maybe your new offering truly resonates with a need they currently have. This initial higher spend can be a really strong indicator of an even greater customer lifetime value moving forward. And this really connects these numbers to the broader, evolving marketing landscape we're all navigating now. Database reactivation isn't merely an occasional tactic you pull out when things get slow or when new lead gen hits a snag. It is, and should be seen as, the fundamental component of sustainable marketing strategies. This is especially true as customer acquisition channels become increasingly competitive and, frankly, more expensive.
Furthermore, with the accelerating pace of privacy changes and, the deprecation of third-party cookies limiting our ability to freely target new audiences, the value of your first-party data, the data you already own about your contacts and customers, it grows exponentially. Leveraging that first-party data through reactivation strategies becomes not just a smart move, but really a strategic imperative for long-term growth and resilience in this new environment.
Okay, so here's where it gets really interesting for me. Because beyond the raw numbers and that compelling financial argument, the benefits of database reactivation seem to cascade across your entire business in powerful ways you might not even realize at first. It's not just about a quick sale, it's about, systemic improvements.
Indeed. And one of the most significant, maybe often overlooked benefits is the enhancement of client relationships. This isn't just a transactional process. It's genuinely about rebuilding trust and providing renewed value. When you reach out to dormant contacts with relevant personalized communication, you're demonstrating that you still value their business, that you remember them, and that you understand their needs, or at least you're making an effort to. Sarah Johnson, who's a customer retention specialist, she emphasizes this point. She says, the most successful reactivation campaigns we've implemented focus first on rebuilding trust and providing value before ever asking for the sale. It's about reestablishing the relationship, not just pushing for a transaction. This means acknowledging their absence, but without judgment, maybe offering solutions to challenges they might face, or simply demonstrating continuous value that makes returning appealing. This relationship-first approach can transform a previously disengaged contact into a potential advocate, leading to much stronger loyalty and higher lifetime value once they're re-engaged.
And that, of course, leads directly to the second major benefit we touched on, a significant increase in revenue and profitability. The math, as we've discussed, is pretty clear.
Exactly. It's less expensive to reactivate than to acquire, which inherently means higher profit margins on those renewed sales. Simple math. But the financial impact doesn't stop with that initial transaction. Successfully reactivating a dormant contact isn't just a one-time win. You're potentially restarting their entire customer life cycle.
Restarting their entire life cycle. Wow, that sounds incredibly powerful, like getting a true second chance with them.
It absolutely is. Think about it. If they were a past subscriber, maybe you're looking at renewed, predictable subscription revenue coming back in. There are also usually extensive additional cross-sell opportunities where you can introduce them to complementary products or services they weren't using before, and upsell opportunities where they might upgrade to a more premium version of your offering now that they're back and engaged. As they re-engage more broadly with your brand, you effectively increased your share of their wallet, right? And crucially, reactivated customers, especially satisfied ones, can become a significant source of new business through referrals and that powerful word-of-mouth marketing we mentioned. These are all high-leverage activities with a significant and compounding long-term financial impact, far beyond just the initial re-engagement sale itself.
So it's not just about the money they bring in now, but also the invaluable knowledge they bring back with them. That's where the valuable data collection and insights truly come in, isn't it? It's like a feedback loop.
Absolutely. Every single reactivation campaign, whether it fully succeeds in bringing someone back or not, generates incredibly valuable data about your customers, their preferences, and by extension, the health and perception of your business. This is a massive learning opportunity. The insights gained can help you identify common reasons why customers become dormant in the first place, allowing you to address those root causes proactively. You'll learn what kind of messaging truly resonates with different segments of your audience, which incentives are most effective for re-engagement. You can even start to recognize patterns that predict potential dormancy before it happens, enabling you to proactively intervene with retention strategies. How powerful is that? And this intelligence isn't just useful for your immediate reactivation efforts. It can inform your entire marketing strategy, guide your product development roadmap, and even help you refine how you design your overall customer experience. This raises a really important question for any business. What can you learn from those who left and came back, or even those who didn't return, to prevent others from leaving in the first place? It's an invaluable iterative feedback loop that continuously refines your whole business strategy.
And it also translates into becoming demonstrably smarter with your marketing budget. That's the core of cost effectiveness in marketing spend. It really deeply reinforces everything we've already discussed about efficiency. It definitely does. I mean, in an era where marketing budgets are under constant scrutiny and customer acquisition costs just keep climbing across most competitive channels, database reactivation offers exceptional efficiency. It just makes sense. You've already paid the initial cost to acquire these contacts. You've built some level of brand awareness. You've already collected their fundamental information and, critically, their consent to contact them. The incremental cost to re-engage them is typically just a fraction, a tiny fraction sometimes, of what you'd spend to bring in someone entirely new from scratch. This cost advantage is immense because it allows you to deploy your marketing firepower more strategically. You can maybe afford higher quality outreach with deeper personalization, offer more compelling incentives while still maintaining profitability. And you can even conduct more frequent communication attempts and A/B testing of different messaging approaches, all of which maximize your overall return on marketing investment. It's about working smarter, not just harder or spending more.
And it frees you from being limited to just one communication method. That's the beauty and the power of multi-channel engagement opportunities. Reactivation isn't a one-trick pony. It can and really should be orchestrated across various channels, significantly maximizing your chances of reaching that dormant contact where they are most receptive. Depending on the contact information you've gathered over time, you can create truly coordinated re-engagement campaigns across a whole spectrum of channels. Email marketing often serves as the backbone, sure, allowing for rich content and detailed offers, but you can layer on social media retargeting to gently remind them of your brand as they browse their feeds. Maybe direct mail for a more tangible, high-impact touch, especially in B2B settings. SMS messaging for quick, urgent updates or exclusive offers. Phone outreach for those high-value clients where a human conversation can make all the difference. And even personalized website experiences when they eventually visit your site again. This integrated multi-channel approach creates a powerful surround sound effect that reinforces your message and significantly increases the likelihood of re-engagement. Mixed Media Ventures, a marketing analytics firm, actually found that integrated multi-channel campaigns can increase reactivation rates by up to 40% compared to single-channel approaches.
That's a huge lift. 40% higher just by using multiple channels. It just makes fundamental sense. You're meeting them where they are rather than expecting them to only see your one email. And then there's the aspect of long-term customer value enhancement. This really isn't just about a quick sale or hitting a quarterly number. That's right. This is where it gets truly fascinating from a psychological standpoint, I think. Successfully reactivated customers often show stronger loyalty and higher engagement than even customers who have maintained continuous engagement all along. Think about it. When someone makes a conscious decision to return to your brand after an absence, they are implicitly recommitting to your value proposition. They've likely weighed their options, they've thought about what they were missing, or perhaps they experienced a competitor's offering and realized your value was better. This renewed commitment frequently translates into higher engagement rates with your future marketing, increased brand advocacy where they become enthusiastic evangelists for your business, maybe greater resistance to competitive offers because they've already tried leaving and actively chosen to return, and more comprehensive product adoption, meaning they utilize more features or purchase a broader range of what you offer. All of this cumulatively leads to a significant increase in their customer lifetime value, extending far beyond that initial reactivation transaction. It's almost like, absence makes the heart grow fonder and the return solidifies a deeper bond.
And finally, a less obvious but equally impactful benefit is the strategic messaging development that naturally emerges from these efforts, creating truly effective reactivation campaigns. It forces marketing teams to develop more compelling, more customer-centric messaging than typical broad marketing efforts often require. The very challenge of re-engaging someone who has drifted away requires sharper value propositions, more empathetic language, and a deeper understanding of specific customer needs and pain points. You really have to hone your message. And what's fascinating here is how these improved messaging strategies often find their way into and actually elevate other marketing initiatives across the organization. They refine the effectiveness of your overall communication strategy across all your marketing efforts, from new customer acquisition to ongoing retention programs. The skills developed in crafting reactivation campaigns, particularly around deep personalization, addressing specific customer concerns, and conveying value concisely, these are incredibly valuable assets that enhance the entire marketing organization's capabilities. It makes everyone better communicators.
Okay, so after exploring all these compelling reasons and benefits, what does this all mean for you, the listener, when you're looking to put this into practice? Because as fascinating as these benefits are, the rubber really meets the road in the execution, right? And let's be clear, this is absolutely not about sending out generic, "we miss you" email blasts. That almost guarantees failure in today's world. It requires a thoughtful, strategic, and deeply segmented approach.
Precisely. The first crucial step, and honestly one that many businesses overlook or rush through, is to segment your dormant database effectively. This is absolutely critical because, simply put, not all dormant contacts are equal, nor do they become dormant for the same reasons. You cannot, and you really shouldn't, treat a high-value B2B enterprise client who hasn't renewed a multi-year contract the same way you'd approach a consumer who abandoned their shopping cart 6 months ago on an e-commerce site. Their contexts, their value, their potential triggers for re-engagement are entirely different. You need to segment based on various intelligent criteria. Start with traditional metrics like recency, frequency, and monetary value, often called RFM, of their past purchases. When was their last purchase? A year ago? 5 years ago? How often did they buy? How much did they spend? But beyond just defining these, the technical challenge often lies in data integrity and unified customer profiles. How accurate is that last purchase date across all your systems? Are you accounting for multi-device usage or different email addresses they might have used? Many businesses struggle with getting that unified customer view, which can significantly impact the precision of their RFM segmentation and therefore the effectiveness of their campaigns. If you have the data, segment by the reason for their disengagement, if you know it. Was it a support issue? A pricing concern? Did they simply move industries? Consider industry or demographic factors, their past product or service interests, even their engagement level immediately before they became dormant. Each distinct segment will require a very different approach and critically entirely tailored messaging.
Right. Once you've meticulously segmented those dormant contacts, the next logical and essential step is to craft highly personalized re-engagement messages. Because as we've discussed, generic "we miss you" simply won't cut through the noise, and relevance is absolutely paramount for success here. Your message has to do several things effectively. First, it needs to acknowledge their absence, but without making them feel guilty or pressured. You don't want to sound accusatory. Second, and most importantly, it needs to offer clear, compelling value for them to re-engage. What's in it for them? You could use value reminders, subtly highlighting what made them engage initially, the core benefit they once found in your offering, or share new developments, showcasing significant improvements or new offerings that have emerged since they last engaged. If you suspect a specific problem led to their dormancy, maybe offer problem-solving content, directly addressing potential issues that might have caused their disengagement. And sometimes, yes, a direct incentive like special terms, a limited time discount, or an exclusive offer just for returning customers is just the nudge that's needed. Don't forget educational content, either providing valuable insights related to their interests, just reminding them of your expertise and thought leadership can be effective. Michael Chen, a customer journey expert, really nails it when he says, the most effective reactivation messages I've seen combine genuine curiosity about why the customer left with a compelling reason to return. It's that delicate balance of looking backward to understand and looking forward to offer new value that creates true momentum.
And this is rarely a one-shot deal. Expecting a single email or touch point to resurrect a dormant relationship is pretty unrealistic, especially for valuable contacts. So the third crucial step is to create a multi-touch campaign. Reactivation, particularly for high-value contacts or complex products, rarely happens with a single outreach. You need a thoughtfully constructed sequence of communications that builds over time and delivers consistent value without being annoying. A typical sequence might start with an initial reintroduction, maybe a soft, empathetic touch with a low-commitment engagement ask, perhaps simply an update or a check-in. Hey, thought you might find this useful. Then you follow up with value-driven content sharing, reinforcing the benefits of your solution, or maybe sharing new industry insights relevant to them. After that, you might strategically introduce a specific offer or incentive to prompt a direct action. And finally, maybe a final opportunity message, creating a gentle sense of urgency without being overly aggressive. The timing between these touches is critical and needs to be carefully calibrated based on your typical sales cycle and industry norms. For B2B with longer, more complex sales cycles, this entire sequence might realistically span several months. For e-commerce, where purchase decisions are faster, it could be compressed into just a few weeks. The key is consistent but not overwhelming presence and value delivery.
So it's not just what you say, but how often and where you say it. That brings us nicely to step 4, choosing the right channels for these touches. You really need to leverage all the available contact points you have, prioritizing those where the contact previously showed engagement or where they are most likely to see and convert from your message. If they consistently opened your emails in the past, email sequences will likely be the backbone of your campaign. But for high-value B2B contacts, a personalized video message, perhaps from an account manager or even an executive, can have an incredibly powerful and memorable impact. It shows effort. For broader reach and those gentle reminders, retargeting ads on social platforms are incredibly effective, displaying tailored messages as they browse online. For a standout impact, especially in B2B contexts where inboxes are absolutely flooded, direct mail can be surprisingly powerful and often gets noticed because it's tangible. SMS for urgent or time-sensitive high-value offers can work well too. And don't forget, good old phone outreach for complex products or services where a human conversation is really key to understanding objections and rebuilding that rapport. It's about being strategic with your channel mix, creating a cohesive journey across touch points, and ensuring your message reaches them effectively without, overwhelming them.
And finally, the fifth and arguably most important step for sustained success and improvement. Measure, learn, and optimize. Without clear key performance indicators or KPIs, you're essentially flying blind. You need robust tracking to know if your efforts are truly working and generating a positive ROI. You should meticulously track your reactivation rate. That's the percentage of dormant contacts who actually take the desired action. Whether it's purchase, a login, maybe an email open, or re-engaging with your sales team, whatever your goal is. Beyond that, measure the direct revenue generated from reactivated contacts, both immediately and ideally over the long term. Crucially, track the long-term retention of those reactivated contacts. Are they sticking around this time? Are they becoming truly loyal again? And always compare your ROI from reactivation efforts to your new customer acquisition costs. Are you actually saving money and being more efficient? Use these metrics relentlessly, feeding the data back into your strategy to continuously refine and improve your approach. Every campaign, whether it's a resounding success or falls a bit short, provides invaluable data that should inform and improve the next one. If we connect this to the bigger picture, this iterative process of continuous testing, learning, and optimization is absolutely essential for sustained success and for truly mastering database reactivation. It's a dynamic, ongoing cycle of improvement. Definitely not a one-off project you set and forget.
Okay, but even with a perfectly designed plan and meticulous execution, there are always traps, aren't there? It can feel like navigating a minefield sometimes. So let's talk about the common pitfalls that can derail even the best-intentioned reactivation efforts and turn potential triumphs into just missed opportunities. First, and perhaps most critically, is insufficient personalization. We've emphasized this throughout our deep dive, but honestly, it bears repeating because it's where so many campaigns fall short. Generic "we miss you" messages rarely, if ever, cut through the noise of a crowded inbox these days. They feel, well, generic, lazy even, and they imply a lack of understanding. Your communication must demonstrate a genuine understanding of that contact's specific situation, their previous interactions with your brand, and the potential needs or interests now. If it feels like you're just sending a mass email, a boilerplate message to an entire dormant segment without nuance, it will be treated like one, deleted, ignored, or even worse, marked as spam. True personalization means recognizing their unique journey, their specific engagement history, and tailoring the message to acknowledge that unique path.
Absolutely. And then there's the delicate balance of poor timing. This is a subtle but really potent pitfall. Reaching out too soon after they've gone dormant can feel pushy, intrusive, almost nagging, especially if their disengagement was very recent. It can backfire. On the flip side, waiting too long means the brand might be completely forgotten, or worse, they've already moved on to a competitor and established a new, maybe stronger relationship there. The key is to develop precise timing guidelines based on your typical sales cycles, the nature of your product or service, and observable customer behavior patterns within your data. For instance, an e-commerce brand might reactivate within a few weeks or a month of a last purchase, whereas a B2B SaaS company might wait a few months after a subscription churns. It's about finding that strategic sweet spot that balances relevance with respect for their space and timing.
Another significant pitfall is an inadequate value proposition. You simply cannot just ask dormant contacts to return without offering a compelling reason why they should. That's just not enough to motivate someone who is actively disengaged. There must be clear, tangible, and enticing value offered. Whether it's showcasing new capabilities you've added since they last engaged that directly address a known pain point, offering special terms or a specific exclusive discount only for returning customers, or directly solving a problem they might be facing that your product or service uniquely addresses now. If the value isn't immediately obvious and highly enticing, they won't come back. They simply have no incentive to change their current behavior.
And here's a critical and often sensitive pitfall: the failure to address past issues. If a contact became dormant due to a negative experience, perhaps a poor support interaction, a product bug that frustrated them, a perceived lack of value, or maybe a pricing concern, ignoring those issues in your reactivation attempts will absolutely doom your efforts. It's like pretending the problem never happened. You need to be prepared to acknowledge and, where possible, address potential dissatisfaction directly. Sometimes a sincere apology, an explanation of how the issue has been resolved since then, or an offer to make things right, can be the single most powerful reactivation tool you have. But this requires access to past support tickets or customer feedback to truly personalize the outreach effectively. Ignoring the elephant in the room just ensures they will stay dormant, or worse, resent the outreach.
And finally, a pitfall that often arises from good intentions but maybe poor execution. Overwhelming communication. While we talked about the power of a multi-touch campaign, there's a very fine line between strategic persistence and just plain annoying bombardment. Bombarding contacts with message after message across too many channels too frequently can quickly backfire, leading to communication fatigue. Instead of re-engaging, they might just hit the unsubscribe button, mark you as spam, or simply tune you out permanently, closing the door forever. It's about designing a measured approach that gradually increases engagement opportunities without creating that feeling of being hounded or stalked. Less is often more in terms of frequency to maintain respect and prevent message fatigue. You want gentle nudges, not constant shouting. But look, these aren't just theoretical concepts or abstract marketing ideas. Companies are putting database reactivation into practice right now and seeing truly incredible, sometimes transformative results. Let's look at a couple of inspiring examples from the source material that really illustrate this power in action.
Yeah, one excellent example is a mid-sized B2B software company that faced a pretty significant and concerning problem. A substantial 28% of their enterprise clients had stopped actively using their platform, despite still holding paid subscriptions. That's a big red flag. This represented a huge amount of potential revenue, not to mention invaluable client relationships that were at severe risk of churn. This wasn't just about lost usage, it was really about lost value and likely an eventual complete loss of the customer if nothing changed. So their campaign was meticulously strategic and high touch, as it needed to be for these valuable accounts. Recognizing the high value of these enterprise clients, they initiated executive-to-executive outreach, ensuring that a high-level relationship-focused conversation was happening from the very top. Not just from an automated system,
They move beyond generic emails, offering highly customized training sessions specifically designed to address identified usage barriers or knowledge gaps for each client's team. They also reestablish regular quarterly business review meetings, not just to sell more, but to realign on goals and demonstrate ongoing value in partnership.
And crucially, they offer new feature demonstrations, tailored precisely to each client's specific needs and workflows, clearly showing how the product had evolved and could now solve even more of their challenges since they last actively engaged. They didn't just ask for a return, they clearly demonstrated new, compelling value. The results of this targeted, relationship-driven approach were genuinely impressive and really validated the investment. It led to a remarkable 62%, over half of those dormant enterprise accounts returning to active, consistent usage. That's huge. This didn't just win back lost engagement, it significantly increased their overall retention rates by 34% across their entire enterprise client base, and more importantly, generated a substantial $1.2 million in renewal revenue that would have likely been lost otherwise. It perfectly illustrates the immense power of high-touch, personalized B2B reactivation, especially when the customer lifetime value is high like that.
That's incredible. Really, going from dormant and clearly at risk to actively using the platform and generating millions in renewed revenue, it truly is unlocking hidden gold within their existing client base. And it's not just for those big B2B contracts and complex software, right? E-commerce retailers are seeing similar success stories, like this example of a specialty retailer with seasonal products. Their problem was a classic one in retail. They struggled with customers who only purchased during peak seasons, like holidays or specific product cycles. This meant these customers were essentially dormant for huge chunks of the year. This made consistent engagement and predictable revenue incredibly challenging outside those seasonal spikes. So they smartly decided to develop a comprehensive year-round engagement strategy specifically for these dormant seasonal shoppers. This included strategic off-season content marketing, highlighting their product versatility and showing how their offerings could be relevant beyond just a single season. They offered early access to new collections specifically for their previous customers, creating a valuable sense of exclusivity and rewarding loyalty. They leveraged personalized recommendations based on past purchases, making the offers feel hyper-relevant to each individual's taste. And they even offered limited-time loyalty bonuses for off-season purchases, giving customers a compelling financial reason to buy when they wouldn't normally think to. And the outcome, it was nothing short of fantastic. This sustained, intelligent engagement strategy led to a 47% increase in year-round purchasing among these previously seasonal-only customers. Nearly half started buying more often. And even better, it significantly boosted their average annual customer value by 28%. This really shows that even if your business is inherently seasonal, your customer relationships and revenue streams don't necessarily have to be. You can extend that value and the life of that customer relationship far beyond the traditional buying cycles. It's about changing perception and providing consistent, relevant value throughout the year.
So the evidence, really, from compelling statistics to these inspiring real-world case studies, is unequivocally clear. Database reactivation offers exceptional returns and immense strategic value when it's implemented thoughtfully, scientifically, and consistently. It's a powerful approach that enhances client relationships, leads to increased revenue more efficiently than traditional acquisition methods, provides invaluable data insights that can inform and refine your entire business strategy, leverages multi-channel opportunities to meet customers exactly where they are, and ultimately builds substantial, resilient, long-term customer value. It touches so many parts of the business.
Absolutely. And as marketing becomes increasingly complex, more competitive, and certainly more costly, maximizing the value of your existing database isn't just smart, it's an absolutely essential strategy for sustainable, profitable growth going forward. It's really about working smarter, leveraging the assets you already possess right there in your CRM, rather than just perpetually spending more and more to find brand new customers all the time.
Exactly. Every single dormant contact in your database represents potential revenue that you've already invested in acquiring. That initial investment has been made, the seed has been planted, so to speak. The question isn't really whether you can afford to pursue reactivation, but rather, can your business truly afford not to? Your next best customer, your next big win, might already be in your database right now, just waiting to be intelligently re-engaged. What will you do to find them, and what dormant opportunities are you ready to unlock in your own business?
Thanks for listening to the Mixed Media Ventures podcast. To see the corresponding blog post, head over to www.mixedmediaventures.com now. Thanks again for dropping by, and see you next episode.